So if you have 108,000 talents times whatever measured, if you went by white talents, you'd still have 6.8 million pounds of gold. If you went by the heavy talent, you got 13.9 million pounds of gold were accumulated in this building. If you look at 270 million total pounds available today, then that means even by today's standards, all the mining that we've done right up to present, what was present in the temple would be 2.2% of all the gold that's ever been mined historically right up to today. Or else if you use the heavy talent, we're at 5.1%. That is so huge when you look at the square footage of this temple. And that is the accumulation of that much gold in one little footprint. Now, the other thing to consider is that, what year did we say that they broke ground? 1012 BC? So we've been mining gold for another 3,000 years since then, and we're pretty good at it. So I would say that if you had 6.1 million pounds of gold, back in that day, that might even be 10, 15, 20% of what had been taken out of Earth at that time. A huge amount of gold. Just to put things in perspective, King Tut's inner coffin only weighs 2,447 pounds. So if you went by the first measure, you'd need about 1,100 of those. The other measure, you'd need 2,200 or so to equal that same volume of gold. It's just massive. There was a cost reconstruction analysis that was done, which, by the way, was done by somebody in Scottish Rite. We'll get to in the credits here in a second. Back in 1954, and C.D. Rite. And he had said that if you take 150,000 men, pay them all their labor, all their wages, even count in their food, by the way, for 7 years, added up all the gold, silver, and brass, the jewels, the gold, the silver, the stone and timber, which they thought was roughly a third of what the gold and silver was. He figures that it would probably cost $51 billion to rebuild Solomon's temple, according to the 1954 economy. Just to give you an idea of what was involved in that building. So why have I told you all of this? What I want to impress upon you is that the Israelites, in leaving Egypt, they didn't have a home, and they didn't have a home for what they found sacred. As they went along, they did the best that they could. They had a tabernacle, and for the land people, this is awfully nice. Eventually, they moved this into a temple and made it permanent. What we do in Masonry is the exact same thing. We're here to make good men better. We're here to pick up ideas from each other. We're here to learn things and incorporate this into our lifestyle and our own personal philosophy. What we do, and what I've been doing for the last 6 months now that I'm in Masons, is using belief and truth to go from a tabernacle to something more permanent. Philosophically, I'm turning this into a temple, which is why it's significant to me. Everything that we read, everything that you encounter on the internet, every conversation that you have Masonically with one of your brothers is important. We learn from all of this. Even if you read something on the internet that's complete trash, which there's plenty of out there, you'll learn what's good and what's bad. Everything that we do makes things a little more solid for us. We learn this lesson by lesson. The temple was eventually destroyed in 586 BC. It was destroyed by the Babylonians under Nebuchadnezzar. In 70 AD, the Romans got to it under Emperor Titus. They destroyed it, but they didn't destroy it completely. Fate would have it that they were unable to topple the Western Wall, and that still stands. Coincidentally, I wanted to share with you, there was so much wealth involved in this. I saw this on the History Channel a couple of weeks ago, that when the Romans under Titus overtook the temple and pillaged it, the Roman economy collapsed in 2 different trade goods. Gold wasn't worth what gold was yesterday. Does that sound familiar? Because there was so much gold that came out of the temple, it flooded the market. The other thing was slaves. There were so many slaves that were taken out of that conquest that the value went down immediately after. The remnants of the Western Wall are what are commonly regarded as the Wailing Wall in Jerusalem. This is obvious significance to the Jewish population to the Christian population, because that's what's left of Solomon's temple. It's also significant to know that this is the third most holy site in the Muslim tradition also, because this is where the night journey of Muhammad took place, where he was carried to Mecca on a winged steed. I've kind of done a whole lot of talking here. What I would like is a little audience participation from you now. From everything that you've seen, the story behind the temple, and what you know that means to masonry, and I'd like you to just pull these out. Give me an idea of what feelings that evokes in you. What does this make you feel like? That shall be bashful. Come on.
Art historical.
What's that?
Art historical.
Art historical. Don?
Very proud.
Okay, proud. Anybody else?
Makes me feel insignificant, the scale of the entire project.
It did very well good. There was a huge project, and you're just one person participating in that. Anybody else?
Yes. Yeah, it shows us the importance of the city that's been overwhelmed 118 times in the last 4,000 years. Jerusalem captured peacefully twice, and with military force 116 times. Excellent.
There's a man who knows his history. Right there, ladies and gentlemen. That was good. I'd be writing notes on that. What's that? Does anybody else have anything they'd like to say? How does it make you feel? Sir?
I have a question. My question is, why at this time people was more focused on gold? What would gold represent down there? Why didn't they use any other precious thing like marble or something else, cow? How today we can see gold as a valuable because we can trade that with something else. At that time, why did they have to build a big, stuff without saying that let's use in gold? Why did the gold come as a precious metal at that time? That's my first question. The second question is, when you talk about Israeli, you get Isaac and Ishmael. One was the cousin or the founder of the Muslim people, and the other one is the Jew people. What I didn't understand is the Muslim, the Islamic come in 1641 after Christ. Yes. So at that time, what was those kids from Israel, from Ishmael, what they were doing at that time? What were they? They were Jews or what? Why did they didn't join the thousand to be one group? What divided them? Because you talk about 1400 before Christ. Right?
Okay.
So the what do you call it? Muslim came 640 after Christ. There is a big gap, a very big gap between those two, between the kids from Ishmael and the kids from Isaac.
I'm going to answer one of your questions right off the bat. The other one I'm not sure I'm prepared to answer. I'll get back to it, however. The reason that gold was used was because gold was almost a magical material back in the day, and for very special reasons. From a chemical standpoint, the outer electron shell, we're going to get into good old chemistry here, the outer electron shell in gold is full, so it doesn't bond with other materials very well. Consequently, it doesn't tarnish. And so that was a good quality of it. Also because it's just so versatile. It can be drawn into wires that can be counted flat, incredibly thin, and it was just shiny and pretty and fairly rare. And so there was a great deal of significance that was placed on that, but mainly because it doesn't tarnish, or at least in the reading that I've done. I'm going to keep running with this thing. I want to get back to your second question. Okay. In terms of the feelings that are evoked with this, I felt a great deal of inspiration in looking through the material and the history that went into this. With people leaving Egypt and looking for a home, they also wanted to have a home for their religion, metaphorically. Along with that, there was a great deal of vision that came